Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is 7 awesome things about Pisces. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. It's a mutable water sign. And this video is intended to discuss the sign itself, and it's not limited to the sun sign. If you have the moon in Pisces, your emotional nature could be touched by some of these attributes. And likewise, the rising sign, you may resemble some of these positive traits in your own way, especially as you present yourself to others or express yourself. And so anyway, number 1 is Pisces are otherworldly. They're spiritual, they're magical people. I was going to say creatures. And you know, the thing about this is that a lot of times people say, "Oh, I'm not into religion." You know, if somebody mentions spirituality, or if I say magical, "Oh, I'm not a Wiccan, I'm not a pagan." And these are terms that transcend specific religious denominations or anything like that. We're talking about how somebody carries themselves, or how they present themselves, or the kind of impression they make on others. With Pisces, if you're looking at Pisces rising, but this can manifest with the sun sign very easily. The person may have a faraway look in their eyes. They may be kind of dreamy. You know, Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, and it is considered to be fog, the Neptunian influence. And fog is not a bad thing. I think fog is really cool, romantic, nebulous, cloudy. That sense of something being obscured, but it's kind of like mysterious and magical. And Pisces people, because Pisces and Neptune rule the 12th house, are naturally going to be psychic, and I could have actually put that down. It's funny, ironically, that was the one thing I didn't write here on my list. And I'm going to, since I said spiritual, but intuitive, big time. And because of this is like natural for them. I'll never forget, and this is like, it was kind of funny because one time this woman who was like a cocktail waitress, she came up to me one time and she says, "You have the most amazing colors." And at that time, I knew all about metaphysics, and I assumed she was talking about my aura. And I said, "Really? Well, tell me about it." And she said, "Okay, well, it's blue and it's yellow and it's green. It's like a blue-green wave." I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And then I told her about auras, and she didn't know anything about auras. She was born with this ability, and she had no knowledge of the label or the I was going to say the theory behind it, but it's not a theory. It's a fact for the people that actually see auras. I don't see auras, but it just was amazing that somebody could just naturally possess this ability, and yet, it's just like seeing anything to them. It's just part of who they are. So and she was a Pisces, so this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. It's a natural occurrence with Pisces. And otherworldly, magical, there can be a sense of a fairy or a sprite with Pisces, where they have that ethereal quality. Pisces rising, a woman with Pisces rising may have a very ethereal nature where she seems like she's not really of this world. It can be quite attractive to others. Number 2, naturally creative, imaginative. Now, of course, some of these things are going to overlap in a certain way, and that kind of goes along with number 1. I think of the late Wayne Dyer, and he was talking about inspiration as like in spirit, and how so creativity, we get inspired, and it's a spiritual connection that we're making. And Pisces people tend to be talented at some form of art, be it music can be a big one, where they either love to sing, to play an instrument, to do both. Think about George Harrison. He was a Pisces, famous Pisces. Kurt Cobain, he was another Pisces. But I mean, of course, there's a lot of Pisces musicians. But in addition to that, just that sense of, I think of the Knight of Cups in astrology, but this person who is looking at their life from a position of expressing themselves, expressing their soul, and there's like a non-material element to that. In other words, somebody may be playing sports, or they may be, I don't know, a makeup artist or something like that, and it's more of a tangible thing. But art is something that you can't really put your finger on, and it's coming from a place where if you're being inspired, you might even be meditating unintentionally while you're trying to bring in these ideas. So that can be very inspiring to other people to be around such a person. And also, if a Pisces parent is raising children, they may have the best stories that they tell. And they will encourage that in their children. They won't be like chastising their children to do something quote unquote practical, but they're going to be much more egging them on to do spiritual things. Number 3, kind-hearted and tolerant. And of course, I just, what song just started playing in my mind was "What the World Needs Now is Love, 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 Sweet Love," or whatever it goes. Kind-heartedness, tolerance, meaning, now it's funny because here again with the overlap, number 4, I put sympathetic and empathetic. So how I separate these out is kind-heartedness and tolerance means that Pisces people tend to see the best in others. They see the God in other people. They see the potential. They're not like putting people on a food chain. Okay, you're more worthy than him and her, and so on and so forth. And because of this, Pisces people sometimes suffer in relationships because they give too much credit for a person in their current state. If somebody has an addiction, they may have a lot of potential, but in this moment, they may be incredibly destructive to themselves, and they will take you down with them. Not intentionally, but just because it's the nature of the beast of addiction to affect other people negatively. So the point I'm trying to make is that Pisces people sometimes are so kind-hearted that they would rather hurt themselves than others when they're dealing with other people and accepting their foibles, their weaknesses. That can end up hurting them, and yet there's something to be said for being kind, in all moments. I think that what I would say if there's a Pisces person actually listening to this is learn how to be kind to yourself as you're kind to other people. You can walk and chew gum at the same time, and you can be kind to another person. Sometimes being kind is not being manipulated by them and not allowing yourself to pity them when they need to get their act together. And you know what I'm saying? I think that there are a lot of cases where people try to manipulate other people with their hard luck stories instead of just, if they're having a hard time, accepting that that's where they're at this moment. But then no, it's like, woe is me, And so a Pisces person is an easy mark for those kinds of people. And yet at the same time, I'm acknowledging that it is beautiful to be tolerant of others and to accept that sometimes people are struggling and that doesn't make them less than, and that we should care about the least of these. Number 4, sympathetic, empathetic. So in that same vein, Sympathy means that we care about how other people feel, okay? And empathy, see, this is kind of one of those tricky things because what's the difference between the two? They almost seem like synonymous. But I believe that empathetic takes it to a different level. It's like not only do they appreciate the struggle of other people, but they actually can put themselves in their place and feel those feelings. And so it can create this sense of becoming one with that person in a way that few other people are able to do. It's like they can really like identify with whoever they happen to be with. And that helps the other person because that person may feel misunderstood, like nobody gets them, and the Pisces person may be the one person who gets them. Again, these are wonderful qualities, but sometimes it can lead the Pisces person to be like, actually affected by the other person's emotions. And they have to learn how to kind of shield themselves from taking it to the nth degree where they really get affected. There's like, there's a way to like really connect with others without taking in their stuff, meaning their vibes, if they're less than cheery. Number 5, gentle souls, peace loving. It sounds like I'm repeating myself, but I'm not. I mean, this is actually a separate thing that I mean. What I mean by a gentle soul is that if you have a person that has a strong Aries marker, their sun, their rising, their moon sign, they're going to be very out there, aggressive and warrior-like in a certain way, emotionally or just competitive. With the sun, it could be a very competitive nature. And the rising sign, they may be very energetic and go, go, go. But a Pisces person is more passive usually, and they will be more mellow. They will be less type A usually than an Aries person or a Leo person. And it's a nice balance. If everybody was type A, this world would be, I was going to say a hellhole, because we need the mellow people that are not trying to, walk all over other people to get their needs met. We need those people in the world. And peace loving, meaning, a Pisces person would rather agree to disagree, or maybe they might even pretend that they agree with the person just to shut them up and make them move on from whatever issue is getting a little bit heated. And there's that saying, do you want to be right or do you want peace? I'm not saying it right. I'm sure why can't I think of what it is? But I say, do you want to be this or do you want to be right? Do you want harmony or do you want to be right? Which is more important to you? I would actually have to pause and think about that for a minute, because there are different ways of looking at a situation, but a Pisces person is not interested in imposing their will on another. Usually, this is obviously, we're talking about the pure essence of a Pisces. There are Pisces people who are not going to show some of these traits, so we have to keep that in mind as well. Number 6, receptive. Okay, receptive meaning being able to receive, and this is being impressionable. The reason this is an important quality is that there are some people who are very set in their ways, and they are not really interested in another person's point of view. They're not, they can't be influenced by them. And it's not that we should be influenced by other people in terms of like abandoning our own ideals and going with somebody else's. But I'm talking about in terms of just your basic, give and take in a relationship. If somebody says, "Oh, I really love classical music," and you've always like kind of like been turned off to it, and they go, "Please just listen to this piece by Chopin. I think you're going to really like it." Okay. And then you say, "No, I'm just totally against it." And you listen to it. A Pisces person might listen to it and go, "Wow, this is really relaxing. You know, I really thought classical music was all just like violins and, string instruments. And I actually I love this piano. It's so calming." And that kind of thing, it's really, because I put for number 7, I said flexible and fluid. And you could say that those two are kind of overlapping, because rigidity is not uncommon within personality types, where people are very set in their ways of their likes and dislikes. And so the problem with that, if you can't be receptive, then there's no give and take in relationships. It's like you're set in your ways. If you go to a restaurant, you're going to be, if you have a friend or a close relative who is a Pisces person, chances are they're willing to go to restaurants with you that you want to go to. They're not going to be like, we have to always go to this one place. We have to always see this type of movie. A Pisces person is going to have much more of a flexibility, be cooperative within the realm of relationships, and therefore a more well-rounded partner to somebody. Like I'm kind of switching the different types of relationships, but it really doesn't matter. A well-rounded sibling, a well-rounded parent with a child or what have you. So any kind of relationship, it's always good to have give and take in relationships of any kind. And we always feel most respected, I think, when another person can take something valuable from us and really be inspired by it. And I think about my own primary relationship that I've had for many years and how we have both influenced one another. And I think that is the key to a good relationship, is that there's that sense of give and take and feeling like you both have something to offer the other. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this. And like always, if you're interested in a reading, please click on the link below this video. My website is rainamoonastrology.com. Take care. Bye.